Hello and welcome to Matt's Yard Maintenance and Garage. Today I'm going to take you through the whole process of how I built this flatbed. Alright guys, this is part 4. If you haven't seen 1, 2, or 3, go check them out and watch the whole flatbed build series. So what I want to do is I want to make my opening 5.5 inches wide. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take half of that, which should be 2 3/4. Put it right on the mark there. I'm gonna mark this end, 2 3/4. I'll flip her over, 2 3/4. Now I've got my 5.5. So let's make my marks. I have to flip this one around. All right, there's my 5.5. Just double check it. 5.5. Okay. Now, when you're going to cut out with a plasma cutter, my tip cuts. You got to set it up 3/16 to the other opposite side that you're going to cut. So now I have to measure over. This is going to be my actual line, but now I have to come over, measure my cut line, or where I'm going to put my flat bar on to actually cut it. Okay. So I'm going to come over 3/16 right there. I'm going to make a new line. So when I go to cut, I'm going to take a piece of flat bar. I'm going to come up here and I'm going to match it on that second line that I did. So then when I go to make my cut with a plasma cutter, it's going to cut right on this line. 3/16. So I'm using soapstone. I like to just take a file and then it leaves me a nice sharp edge. I gotta leave myself some space here, so I'm gonna come out, I think about 1/2 inch, and make a line right there. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna transfer that line over to here. I think that's where I'm gonna make my cut on this bar. And that should leave me just like a tad under 4 inches. I'm gonna make my line, and then I'm gonna make my other line. That's roughly 3/16 right there. So this is my follow line. Let me just mark that. We'll put a C here for center. So I want 1/2 inch over here. I should have just under 4 on this side as well. Yeah, okay. And then we're gonna make our line we follow. Next, what I gotta do, I want this to be right about there. So I should be at 9/16. Let me just mark that. Now from that line, I go up 1, 2, 3. Now I gotta go over to the other side and I gotta transfer those lines. All right, so what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna hold this on the line as I cut it. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start here on this side. Cut that middle line. I made a line over here, but I can't do that because this gets in the way. So I mean, I can just switch to the side of the line. It's still going to cut the same amount. So I'm going to do this side. Then we're going to come over here. And the reason being is I can still hold this side, because if I cut this side and then I go to hold it right here, my hand's going to be hot. So we're going to cut this side first. Yep, I like that a lot better. Okay. Okay. Yeah. That was definitely a bad idea, but I think we're good. I think. I don't feel no blood. I think I did get hit in the chin. I'm good. There's a hole in the frame. I really got to tell you, I had contemplated doing this for about 2 days. You know, I've put a lot of work and effort into this, and to do something like this and to screw it up would be really disheartening. But anyways, it's looking the way I want it to right now. So now let's cut some flat bar. Kind of wanted it to stick out like 1/4 of an inch. All right, now to do this one. Alrighty, there it is. Now we're nice and folded in there. All right, sweet. All right, so for right now, all I want to do is just get everything tacked into place. Tack in the corner. All right, this one next. Come on. I think I'm pretty happy with that. That should give me plenty of clearance for this guy right here, just like that. Yeah, I already like it. Alright, so what I'm doing here next is I got a cardboard cut out. Domino's hand pan is usually the best. Just kidding. So what I'm going to plan to do is I want this to come in here like an angle. This is what's going to hold my filler neck. Oh, you're not even looking what I'm looking at. So that's kind of how I want it, like that. I got to add about 1/4 of an inch from here to there. But left to right, it's looking good. So I'm going to put this on my 1/8 inch sheet metal here, and then I'm gonna cut it out. I also got to cut a circle for the filler neck itself, and my plan is to cut a piece like this, but cut it down to about 1/4 of an inch. I'm going to put it down, I'm going to tack it on the inside, and then that way I can run around the outside with the plasma cutter and cut the hole I need for the filler neck. I don't know if you can tell, but this is slightly smaller than the hole size, which is fine because the plasma cutter cuts 3/16 of an inch around that. So I'll be left with about 1/8 of an inch around the whole thing, which should be fine for me. All right, so here we are with our piece. I'm just gonna bring this right down into the corner. All right, I'm gonna make a line along the side here. Now the line here I'm going to make, but remember I want to come up about 1/4 of an inch from this line. I do want to kind of cut out my little bit of the corner, not too much. And we're going to kind of cut that off as well. Actually, I'll probably just take a grinder to these corners. That looks way the what is going on here, guy? You know what? I'm going to draw this line over again. What I want to do is I want to get this ring kind of actually towards the top. I prefer it toward the top. I'm going to take this off, trying not to move this. Okay. I'm going to try and clamp it. Okay, so I'm gonna tack that into place. That is tacked into place. Okay, so I got these lines here. What I have to do now is I actually have to make lines that come out here that are 3/16 inch more. That's my, we're gonna follow line. First thing I want to try is I want to try and cut this out and just see how that goes. Because if it doesn't go, we don't need to cut out the rest of it and waste material. Alright, so what I did next is I just placed this where it had to be, right? More thunder and lightning, there we go. And then I just took this guy, and what it does is it makes a little indent, put it in these screw holes, each screw hole. So, you know, I got the 1, 2, and 3 little dots where I'm going to drill out, and then I should be able to put the screws in and anchor this to that, and then we'll weld this plate into place into that square. Alright, now I got all 3 holes. Alright, so here we go. We got the plate. I think it goes like that. Alright, now I just take my little screws here. And then we'll just go ahead and tighten those down. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this in the box and we're going to weld it up. Here we go, we're going to put this in and tag it up. There's no special way. I'm just going to eyeball this to where I like it. Right there kind of looks good. There you go, that's what it sort of looks like before this camera dies. Okay, so here's my next problem. I got the filler neck that's going to go right here in the middle. The only problem is the hole for the fuel is down that way. And the only reason I cut that like that was because that's where the hose was at the time. So what I did was I took a piece of exhaust tubing and I had to get a 20-degree angle from here over to there. So what I did was I cut this pipe at 10 degrees, which, you know, will give you your 20. You cut one at 10, you cut the other at 10, you weld them together and you get your 20-degree angle. So now when this is like this and tilted down, it's gonna aim straight for that hole. You see what I mean? It's gonna aim straight for that hole. And it's also gonna be tilted, so I shouldn't have any problems there. Alright guys, that is the end of part 4. If you want to see part 5, make sure to hit that subscribe button so when part 5 becomes available, you'll be notified. Alright guys, well that's it. If you liked the video, make sure to give it a thumbs up, share, and subscribe. And don't forget to leave a comment down below. And if you like this video, check out these videos. That one's kind of cool. I like that one. That one's cool too. That one's my favorite.